He looks different today, doesn't he?
Who?
18?
Like in a rhythm?
Yeah.
He knows he's playing.
That voice right there saying the quarterback looks a little different, that's Bears general manager Ryan Poles. He's going to be joining us later in this show. As always, I'm your host, Peter Schrager, and this is the Hard Knocks podcast. That was Caleb Williams they were talking about in week one of Hard Knocks. It was such a huge hit in Chicago that after finally seeing their number one overall pick line up under center, the Windy City is a buzz. And as we kick off this episode, Caleb Williams and his quarterbacks are discussing their first memories. Not their first memories on a football field, not their first memories in the NFL, their first memories on earth. And for Caleb Williams, he mentions playing flag football. Here is the number one overall pick talking about the sport that he first fell in love with.
If they actually bring like flag football to the Olympics, like I would 100% want to do it.
I hear that and my brain starts spinning. Okay, insider hat here, and that's the role I'll play on this podcast. Flag football is an Olympic sport in 2028 in the Summer Games being played in Los Angeles. The NFL, meanwhile, just spent a ton of money to have a commercial filmed in which Jalen Hurts, the quarterback of the Eagles, is in LA and he's like lighting the torch. It ran on NBC already. I am telling you, I am already doing all these different permutation, different lineups in my head, getting excited over figuring out which NFL players I would put on the Olympic team. But then I start wondering, is the NFL going to allow their players to play on the Olympic team? This would hypothetically happen during training camp that season, wouldn't it? And then a bigger question is, even if the NFL players are permitted, are they the best players in flag football? You understand, flag football is a year-round sport. It is something that people play all the time, and there are teams that practice the game 12 months out of the year. It's not a slam dunk that Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts would even be the best quarterback for our flag football team. You see, it's become such a popular sport in itself that there are men and women who play the game every weekend and are really good. It's almost a different sport with different rhythms, language, and pacing. So the top flag football quarterback in America, Team USA's quarterback in 2024, is a guy named Nico Caceres, and he's from Coconut Grove, Florida. Nico didn't go to USC. Nico's not the number one overall pick of the Bears. Nico graduated from Catholic University in 2023, but in the flag football world, he's the guy. So yes, Caleb Williams might dream of being the QB1 for the Olympic team, and he might be the choice. Look, it's in LA. He was a USC quarterback. He played at the Coliseum in college. It makes a lot of sense. But 4 years from now, Nico Caceres from Coconut Grove, Florida, or someone else like Nico might actually be the more deserving player. Sorry for going off on that tangent. Let's get back to Hard Knocks, because one of the best parts of this series is getting to know some of the long shots or lesser known players in training camp. Insert Ian Wheeler, a hardworking, undrafted rookie running back out of Howard. We learned that Wheeler played 5 years at the school and football is his passion. However, he was also accepted into Howard's prestigious medical school. He is a graduate with a Bachelor of Science in Psychology and a minor in Chemistry. Wheeler is as fully rounded a football player as you will find, truly a Renaissance man, which is why I love running backs coach Chad Morton, a former player himself, just working Wheeler throughout a practice in episode 2. I mean, Morton's seen it all in the league, and his treatment of Wheeler, harsh, demanding, relentless, and then at the end, loving and encouraging is just great. Take a listen to this back and forth with the potential future doctor and an NFL running backs coach, just treating him like a potential NFL running back.
Ian, you awake? Wake up.
Why do you keep saying that like?
Because you always got that that little sad face.
That's just my face.
You know what I mean? You like Eeyore. You know who Eeyore is?
I know who Eeyore is. I've seen Winnie the Pooh.
You do, really? You better get your pads down. You better get your pads down. Yeah, get your pads down. No, you ain't low enough.
It makes for great television when Wheeler, I guess probably I would say a camp long shot to make the team, but I shouldn't cut him short. Either way, he scores 2 touchdowns in the preseason game versus the Bills, and Hard Knocks captures it all. The football highlight that I salivated the most over, though, this episode was what like a football junkie craves. It's top Bears corner Jalen Johnson just going up against offseason addition and star wide receiver Keenan Allen one-on-one. You see, Johnson's got a personality and a chip on his shoulder this season. And he entered last season wanting a new contract. Then he got it, and it was a big one. And then he had his best year as a pro. But it apparently wasn't enough to make the NFL Network's top 100 list. But surely a guy like Johnson, who's a top corner in the league and has already been paid big bucks, surely he doesn't care about that stuff, right? Yeah, sure. Take a listen to his reaction.
There ain't no way. I don't know how you make Pro Bowl, All-Pro, and you're not a top 100 guy. I could have been 101, I guess, but Aaron Rodgers didn't even play in the season. He was voted. So, hey, everybody made mistakes. It ain't just the media that do it. The players, clearly, if they voted for this, they made some mistakes.
Quick note on this whole NFL Network Top 100. See, I work for the NFL Network, and the list every year comes out right before the start of training camp. And it made a lot of news this year because in addition to worthy players like Jalen Johnson not making the top 100, the headline was that Patrick Mahomes came in ranked number 4 overall. Not 1, not 2, not 3, number 4. That raised eyebrows, including mine. I did a whole rant on Good Morning Football about how absurd that is. But then I've learned exactly when this list was voted on and how it comes to be. And it turns out that it's voted on by the players in November and December. So if you're looking at November and December, the Bears played their best defensive football at the end of last season, really December and start of January. So Jalen, it wasn't me or wasn't anyone in the media who made this list. You got that right. It was the players. As for a mistake, I don't know. I wouldn't lose too much sleep on it. The ballots closed before your team even played their best football. The same process which led to you being outside the top 100 in this year's list also had the Super Bowl winning quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, outside the top 3. But let's get back to Johnson and Allen because it's awesome. It is... If you're craving like real football competition and one's going up against ones, you might not get it in the preseason and you might not get it watching clips of your local media, but like Hard Knocks captures one of the best corners in football going up against one of the best wide receivers. And on this particular day, Johnson gets the best of Allen, which will not be the case every day because Allen's awesome. And it's just fun to watch. Ryan Poles, the general manager who we're going to have on in a bit, he said it's like iron sharpens iron, which is, of course, a biblical quote. The best brings out the best. Take a listen to Jalen Johnson wrapping practice and insisting that his unit, the defense, got the best of the offense that day.
One play at a time. All right, so let's learn from today. Jalen Johnson, you got the call.
Yeah. Hey, y'all boys, let's go out here and keep competing. A lot of energy, a lot of effort. Defense, we're going to keep competing. Offense, y'all keep fighting back, doing what y'all can do, you feel me? It's all good, it ain't y'all fault. Hey, but team on 2, 1, 2. Team.
As for the Bears preseason game against the Bills, it's their second time on the field in an exhibition. And I just have to mention how good Caleb Williams and that Bears offense looks right out of the gates on Saturday afternoon. No, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. The first 2 scoring drives did end in field goals, not touchdowns. But Caleb Williams made some really great throws. And that little backhanded flip to DeAndre Swift, that was smooth like butter. Look, he's still got a long way to go, we know, and everyone will tell you that. But so far, Bears fans have to be loving what they're seeing from Caleb Williams. And what we're getting on the show, it's been sublime. Also in this episode, we get a little more from the Bears' other top 10 draft pick, Mr. Rome Odunze. Hard Knocks fans have already seen a lot of him thanks to the Giants and all their pre-draft scouting of Odunze from the offseason Hard Knocks. Well, he's got some real explosive talent, and he'll have to fight for targets with DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. But watching him sing during the rookie show, Odunze has some explosive talent, and we'll see how his football turns out. But I got to talk about his vocals. Watching him sing during that rookie show and singing Chris Brown's Kiss Kiss of all songs is tremendous. It's a deep cut there. I have not heard that song in a while, and I'll tell you, Rome Odunze absolutely delivers. The response from the veterans in the room, it's hesitant at first. Like, they don't give him a round of applause right away. But unlike Caleb Williams' performance last week, Romes is met with giant cheers from all the players and the coaches in the room. It is clear that this guy has all the confidence in the world and that he believes he could perform on the biggest of stages. Confidence is so important for these players, but maybe no one is feeling more confident right now than Theo Benedet, our hero from the first episode of Hard Knocks. After making his debut last week in his patriotic swimsuit and singing Lee Greenwood, the Canadian Eagle seems to be on his way back to playing after the injury he suffered in the first preseason game, shares that he has been quite busy over the past few days.
People Magazine wanted an interview yesterday. There was a 40-year-old mother of two who told me she thought I had very nice legs. One lady said that her eagle had landed with a winky face.
All right, I'll be honest. I love Theo Benedet. Maybe it's because he's Canadian and funny, or maybe it's just can kind of feel for him that he's put himself out there on national television, and sure enough, the guys seem to love him. I am going to ask Ryan Poles about Theo Benedet in a bit because, believe it or not, he is the breakout star thus far on Hard Knocks. In the game against the Bills, we have an official talking about the new kickoff rules. That's been a real buzzword this offseason in the NFL, the new kickoff rule. Here's the official from the preseason game discussing what's at play.
You like this kickoff rule?
I do. I do.
You guys will be able to return more now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get one today.
So about these new kickoff rules, the dynamic kickoff. You, the listener, might already know the rules, and if not, you can Google them. And heck, if you don't want to Google them, trust me, they'll be explained on every game broadcast the first couple of weeks of the season. We could go through the rules if you want, but I'd rather explain why we have the new rules. Health and safety is the first and foremost reason, and this is supposed to protect a lot of players out there on the field. But also the excitement in the game plays a factor. You know, there were 13 different kickoffs in the Super Bowl last year. Do you want to know how many of those kickoffs were actually returned? 0. That meant there were 13 touchbacks. The NFL says only 22% of the kickoffs a season ago were returned. The hope is that these new rules will bump that up to at least 40%. And if we're being honest, the NFL would love to see 50%. You see, the fun part is that so far, no team has revealed their best plans or how they are planning on attacking the dynamic kickoff return in the preseason just yet. There'd be no advantage to doing so. You wouldn't show your cards. So trust me, week 1, it could be nuts. We could see reverse plays. We could see fake handoffs. We could see all sorts of laterals. We could see non-kickers, say a safety or a linebacker with a big foot, doing the kickoff so that they could also be on the field to tackle the return men. This is all on the table. It's a fun new wrinkle to the upcoming season, but it's also fun seeing the Bears trying to tinker with it without showing us too much. We get to know a lot of the players' kids in this episode. We also get to meet Roma Dunze's mother. There's a lot of family, and that's cool. The football part of it ends on a high note for the Bears. A 33-6 win over a really good Bills squad, and Coach Matt Eberflus seems very happy with the effort. This Bears team seems to be clicking. So let's bring in the man who assembled the roster, General Manager Ryan Poles. With no further ado, one of the rising stars in front offices across the NFL and a guy with a huge job as far as HBO's Hard Knocks season goes. He is the general manager of the Chicago Bears and the man who drafted Caleb Williams first overall. Ryan Poles, welcome to the pod.
Thank you.
It's good having you. There's so much excitement, and we're just 2 episodes into Hard Knocks now, but watching from afar, it looks like the juice is up. What's it like on the ground in camp, Chicago Bears, this season?
Yeah, it's been great. You hit it right on the head. The energy is high. The guys are having a blast. They're working hard. What you feel are the relationships are there. Guys just leaning on each other, but also competing against each other as well. That's a huge part of what we wanted, is to increase the competition, both inside the position groups, but also offense and defense and on special teams. And you feel that every day.
Yeah, and it's really cool getting a look at the quarterbacks room because it's not just Caleb. We've gotten a chance to really get to know Tyson Bagent a little bit, and Reed's gotten a big spotlight in the second episode, and Brett Rippon, of course, played so well in the Pro Football Hall of Fame game. Let's go to you and Caleb, though, because this is one of those deals where we heard Hard Knocks is coming to the Bears, and immediately it's like, Caleb Williams, you're the man who drafted him. What's it been like having Caleb in camp, and how has he been? Because I think going into this, we didn't know, and so far he's been a leader, and it seems like he's been a great teammate to those guys.
Yeah, he's exceeded my expectations, especially from an intangible side of things. He got right off the bus, got here, and started making friendship and relationships with his teammates. And you can feel that every single day. You can see him grow as a leader. Now, I see small things. He'll have a route combination that gets a little bit muddy. He'll bring the guys over. You can see him actively working through what happened to find solutions. And then off the field too, he's going out, having dinner with the guys, bringing people together, creating that bond that's so important at that position.
There's a little small moment in the second episode where you and Ian Cunningham, who works with you in the front office, you're like, seems like he's different this week. Like, he's getting the rhythm. It seems like he's picking things up. Is that what you're seeing day to day? It's just like leaps and bounds. Like, oh my gosh, he's coming along even further than we thought.
Yeah. And it's interesting because in any developmental phase, it's never linear. So you're going to have some ups and downs, but then you see him take big jumps, and it's very clear on tape. It's like he looks settled in. He looks patient. He looks poised. It looks like the game is slowed down just a little bit for him. So seeing those jumps ever so often, it's a really exciting process to go through, especially for where he started in day one, because there's so many changes going from a college quarterback to an NFL quarterback. There's a lot of responsibility in the huddle, walking up to the line of scrimmage, getting everyone on the same page. So you can see him take those steps. And as that slows down, his game and the skill set starts to blossom in front of your eyes. And we saw that against Buffalo. So as long as we stay on that track, we're going to have something special here.
Let's go back to that pre-draft process, because you guys had the first overall pick, you traded the pick away, and you got DJ Moore last year, and then you get this pick. And it's like, from go, it seemed like it was Caleb Williams to the Bears is happening, and there wasn't much discussion of, is it going to be Jaden Daniels or Drake May? We just got done with this Giants Hard Knocks offseason, and it was such an obsession over all the quarterbacks, but it felt like you guys were comfortable with Caleb from the start. I want to go to that visit he had with you guys in Lake Forest in Chicago. He only took one visit with a team. It was to you guys. And I thought this was really cool. And it's kind of my insider hat on here. You brought some current Bears to the visit, which is not usual. And you had them have dinner with Caleb. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we're changing here. And you saw Flus in the first episode talking about, we're going to hand the keys over and it's time for you guys to drive. We mean that. So our locker room is in a very special place right now, and you have to be the right type of person to get in that locker room and to be in that locker room for a long period of time. So we knew just for that quarterback position, he's going to be a leader fast. We want to make sure that the vets on our team, especially the ones that were in town, had the opportunity to sit down and get to know him a little bit and get a feel for him, because I have always felt like you can't fool the locker room.
No.
They know who you are. They know what you stand for. You can't fake that. And I just thought it was important for those guys to sit down and say, is this a guy that we can follow? Is this a guy that we believe in, that we're going to put all this time and effort to help us take a huge step in this organization? And that's what we did. And that relationship, really, a lot of them started right there in that room. And we found out from feedback from that, it's like, yeah, like this dude's different than most of them. So it was another piece of the puzzle that made us convicted about moving forward with Caleb.
And yet John Legend's Ordinary People was not supposed to be sung that way. You were in the room for the rookie show. What was your thoughts on that rendition of a beautiful song that was just kind of ruined by Caleb?
I appreciate him putting himself out there.
He did.
I'll even say I've seen him golf, and that's ugly too. So he has no problem putting himself out there. He's comfortable with who he is and what he knows, and he knows he's really good on the football field. We got some work to do with singing and golf, but I appreciate stepping up to the plate and putting it out there, even though it's not great. You could tell it meant a lot to his teammates. And then he came up the next day and he got a round of applause to pass his rookie song.
I love that. And, I said it on the first podcast we did after that scene. I'm like, there's a lot of guys who'd be too cool. And they'd be like, here's my college fight song. Like, he went all in. I loved his humility. I love the fact he was able to kind of get his chops busted, and he knew that going in.
Absolutely. And that's important, right? I mean, you got to have that thick skin and self-confidence to sometimes put yourself out there with your teammates and get booed and come back the next day and do what you need to do to pass. That's going to happen on the football field too. There's going to be some rough days, and you're going to have to take it, from a very passionate fan base, and you're going to have to bounce back. And we've seen him do that on the practice field. He's had those days, and the next day comes back out fired. And so that's a trait we look for. So it was fun to see that.
You know, you're not someone who seeks out the media. You've had this job for a couple of years now. I never see you being like, hey, look at me, look at me. But when you are in front of the cameras, you're always very eloquent and very direct, and I think fair to the local media for sure, watching all your press conferences. The Hard Knocks thing can really mess with someone's mind because there's cameras on at all times. It's like, am I acting? Am I authentic? How have you handled it as a general manager? And not a focal point by any means in these first 2 episodes. However, you are at the family barbecue at one scene. You're in the background during the rookie show, and there's a lot of conversations that are being captured with the entire organization. How are you handling having the cameras watching you?
It's been business as usual for me. You know, it is interesting to have robotic cameras in your office, but I'll tell you, most days I kind of forget they're even there. So we've had, you know, our normal meetings, our normal conversations. There's a lot of trust in the production side of things, but I really just kind of forgot about it. It's business as usual. You learn a lot about your building and the people in it, because that does cross your mind. Like, are people going to be authentic when the cameras show up? And I can tell you right now, like, everyone's been themselves. It has been authentic. You don't see anyone trying to get out in front of anything. And it just tells me a lot about the type of people we have in the building.
Yeah, and one of the guys we're getting to know is Matt Eberflus, who has been a coach in this league for a while, has been a head coach a couple of years now. And the focus of the first episode was a lot of his coaching, but also there was a cool little portion about the glow up he had this offseason. Did you guys have any idea that HBO was going to go that direction and talk about his haircut and his beard? And I know, Flus, I doubt he was looking for that from the get-go.
No, I knew that the Hard Knocks crew probably wanted to kind of tap into that, just because it's so talked about in the city, and the difference in his style, and even how he approaches the podium in press conferences. And I'll tell you this, like, we don't talk about it enough. Being a head coach is extremely difficult in this league. And you get promoted and you get a head coaching job because you do a great job as a coordinator, but there's a lot to learn. There's a lot on your plate, and it takes time to figure it out. I can tell you that as a GM too. And as you start to get confidence and you get the right people around you and in the building, you know, and in the locker room, you do start to settle in a little bit and move with confidence, and you have awareness of what's going on, and you can feel Matt get into a really good place. Like, he's a football coach and he's in the zone right now. I know the beard and all that gets kind of the talk, but you know, I do think it's symbolic for where he's at right now as a football coach. He is doing his thing, and it's fun to watch.
No doubt. One of the beautiful parts of Hard Knocks is that we get to know players and people in the organization that we might not know if we didn't have the cameras there. I mean, really hate seeing him go down in the Hall of Fame game, but it was great seeing him back on his feet in the second episode. But tell us about Theo Benedet out of Canada, who stole the show and really seems like he's a great guy to have in the building.
Yeah, I'm excited about Theo. I was definitely bummed to see him get injured early in this process. But you're right, he's a great guy. He's got a lot of good traits. He's great for the O-line room. He's got that O-line personality. And, you know, I've lived that life before, and you need that in that room. And he uplifts everybody he's got a great sense of humor. Again, it's someone that's really confident in who he is and will put himself out there, obviously, like he did to the world. But yeah, we're happy with Theo. Excited to hopefully get him back here soon. Maybe catch the back end of training camp.
No doubt. These Jalen Johnson, Keenan Allen battles, are they as good as they look?
Yeah, that's one that, you know, you run back into your office and you put the tape on and you watch that matchup, because that is iron sharpening iron. It's outstanding. That is a very instinctual, crafty offense and defensive player that have done it for a long period of time. So they're making each other better, and that's going to make the Bears better. Usually
the wide receiver is like, I caught every ball. Keenan is just like, no, I haven't caught any balls. Like, this guy's unbelievable, which is so refreshing to hear.
Exactly. Yeah, they're making each other better for sure.
You mentioned you know the offensive line life. I don't know if everyone listening or is watching knows your story. You were an offensive lineman at Boston College. You were on the line that protected Matt Ryan when he was in college. Get a job with Kansas City out of the gates, and you were there for the birth of this Chiefs dynasty. It was when Andy Reid gets hired, when they draft Kelce, when they draft Mahomes. What do you remember of the day that Patrick Mahomes was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs?
Yeah, it gave you hope with a guy that had unbelievable potential. Everyone sees who Pat is today, but there was a journey to get to that. So to watch him put the work in, be a great teammate, learn from Alex, that was an incredible and a very valuable experience for me to go through, because there's a lot of things that we can apply here to our process. It's a little bit different because it's year one, but I definitely took a lot from what I saw Andy do and even the process with Veach and John to draft Pat, and some of those intangibles, some of that freedom, creativity to put a team in a position to win championships. So I'm very, very, very fortunate to have gone through that process with them.
Anytime the name Taylor Swift is mentioned, the clip can go viral in a great way. Would you have ever thought when you guys drafted Travis Kelce, that rookie walking in, that he would someday be dating the biggest pop star in the world?
No. I just wanted Travis to make it. Again, we all know Travis today, but I just wanted him to make it. It was a little choppy in the beginning. He had to go through some things. And again, the genius of Andy Reid and his ability to develop players. It's incredible to see Travis today. Matter of fact, last year when I went out there, he came up to me. He's like, "Look at us, buddy. Look at us." And I'm like, "Me? Like, look at you, man. Like, you're dating one of the most famous artists in the world, and you're one of the best at your position to ever do it, if not the best." So that whole journey for him has been incredible. And, I'm happy for all those guys. I got almost teared up when I saw Chris Jones get his extension. He sat next to me in a game his rookie year. He wasn't playing. He goes, "You know what? They're going to put my name on the stadium someday." And I texted his agent. I'm like, "They're probably going to put his name in that stadium." So it's been cool to see those guys grow to who they are.
Yeah, he could. I mean, he's got 3 Super Bowl rings. He could potentially be a Hall of Famer, and you knew him when. That's really cool. In closing, this Bears team, it feels fun. It feels young. It feels like you guys got a real shot. Do you feel that in the building? And as we head towards the final episodes of this program and, of course, the end of training camp, we know that week 1 is right around the corner. Does this year feel different than the past 2 that you've been there?
It does. It does. And I'm excited about it. Unfortunately, in this position, you never feel comfortable. You never feel like it's good enough. So you're always looking at different options to continue to improve. You're always waiting for, the boogeyman to pop out on you, and you're going to have to come up with a plan B, plan C, plan D. That's just the nature of this job. But when I have the opportunity to kind of just be where my feet are, I'm excited about where this roster is and where this organization is going.
Dude, thank you. I so appreciate you taking the time. You're in the heat of training camp, and preseason game is right around the corner. You've also got the Hard Knocks cameras watching, but we appreciate you joining the podcast. You're doing a great job. 2 episodes in. Let's keep it rolling. Ryan Poles, GM of the Chicago Bears. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Poles was great right there. And I'll tell you, I love that Travis Kelce story. I have no idea what he's referring to about Kelce as a rookie, but I can imagine Travis was a wild and crazy kid. And Ryan Poles says that Andy Reid, the beauty of him is that he found a way to get the best out of Kelce. And now, look at us, as the old clip with Paul Rudd and Sean Evans from Hot Ones reveals. That is good stuff. I love that. And now it is time for my MVPs of the week. Yes, if you're an avid listener, you know I've never given out plural, but this is MVPs because I am giving the award to Austin Reed's parents, Jen and Tom Reed. They're just referred to as Austin Reed's parents on the show, but our crack production team actually looked up their names, and it's Jen and Tom. And I love that they're in the building yet again. You see, Austin bounced around playing college ball at Southern Illinois, West Florida, and he eventually finished up at Western Kentucky, where he was a hilltopper. He went undrafted, but was signed by the Bears in hopes of being in that quarterback's room with Caleb Williams. So it's been a real roller coaster for Austin, but also the entire Reed family. In episode 1, his parents are so proud and so loud for their son at the Hall of Fame game in Canton. Now, we know what happens there. They waited around all day to see their son finally get in, and then after 2 throws, a storm came through, and that was it for his debut. And then they get some real redemption this week as, sure enough, there's Austin Reed going in the game against the Bills, and as he takes the field, his parents are as proud as can be.
Our son is in now, so it's kind of... Thank you. Remember, the only reason they stress about it, God's already planned it.
So that wind's coming this way pretty good, so it's actually going with him. Really helps. I hope.
Ready, set!
Go, 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 go,
Reed takes it, the throw.
That's the clip. Maybe it's just because we got through the Olympics, and I'm a sucker for these family stories and for the parents of the athletes. Or maybe it's because I'm a relatively new dad. My son's starting youth sports, but like watching the Reeds for their adult son just travel the country and be in his corner and just cheer him on from Canton to Buffalo, wherever the next game might be. When teams win or lose, you don't usually think about all the different individuals who supported each player along the way. The parents, the grandparents, the coaches, the teachers, the guidance counselors, the athletic directors, the trainers, the list goes on and on. So seeing Jen and Tom Reed rocking their Bears gear, I think Jen even had a Bears orange scrunchie on, high-fiving and supporting their son as he lives out his dream. Come on, that's awesome. I loved seeing them both at the game. And that's it for this week's Hard Knocks podcast. I know Bears fans are eager to see how many snaps Caleb Williams takes on Saturday when they play the new blonde bombshell, Joe Burrow, and his Cincinnati Bengals. Head over to the Hard Knocks Instagram page at Hard Knocks HBO for exclusive behind-the-scenes clips of the show. And check out NFL.com for even more Hard Knocks highlights. Don't be afraid to reach out to yours truly. You can do that on X at Pschrags, P-S-C-H-R-A-G-S, and you can find me on Instagram. I'm new there, at P Schrager. That's P-S-C-H-R-A-G-E-R. I know everyone is getting excited for the season, but if there's something you'd like to hear us talk about on the show, let us know. We'll be back next week for part 3 of The Bears, and be sure to catch Hard Knocks on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on HBO and streaming on Max. See you next week. Hard Knocks Podcast is a production of HBO and NFL Films in partnership with Pod People. It is hosted by me, Peter Schrager, and produced by Buffy Gorilla, Tony Mantilla, Brian Rivers, Sam Gubauer, and Carter Wogan. Special thanks to Michael Gluckstad and Savon Slater from the HBO podcast team, and of course, Ken Rogers at NFL Films. Thanks for listening, everybody.
We elevated up and we got better. It's the same call this week, right? We have to get better. Next Saturday, we got to be a better football team. How do we do that? You invest, you grow, and you improve.